The fact is, one of them jumped behind him and got him down almost on his knees, and he was using a judo hold, which is a true stranglehold. The word is stranglehold. It's not just a chokehold, it strangles you. In judo, you would know what to do, because if you can't get out of it, then you've got to tap the mat or tap a person or whatever, or just tap something, because it's actually a contest. In real life, you use it to kill somebody. And you'll see this guy's face turning dark red, almost purple. And to see that happening in Canada, because a guy didn't have a mask on, I don't care what else you think of the fella, or what he's done or hasn't done, I don't know any of them. But the fact is, even the cops would be tried for that. But they've got security guards now doing it. And you'll see them slacking off a bit when they realise someone's actually filming them with a camera. They're doing something to a man. You saw Mr. Floyd in the States getting, when he died, he said, I can't breathe. This guy shouts, I can't breathe too. Well, where's the riots for this guy's rights? This is what the government has done to demonise one man who is not wearing a mask. Do you realise what's happening? Do you realise, folks, what's happening here? You always pick sides. You don't see what's really going on here. Forget the sides. You're seeing the effects of psychological warfare on people who will not comply, where other folks see them as a threat to the rest, and they're willing to use lethal force against them. That hold they use there, most folk can't get out of it. And once you're down and the person's partly above you as well, you try to stand up, it chokes you even further. It also can damage. From that chokehold, if you've ever studied judo and so on, you can snap that neck with a twig. You get permanent damage from it. I couldn't believe they're actually doing this now, because they think they've got a right to do it against someone not wearing a mask. All from the media campaigns to turn society against people who won't comply. Now, we already saw the same kind of thing happening in New Brunswick. A couple went to the pharmacy. They didn't get strangled or anything, but the manageress called the police in because they weren't wearing masks, but they couldn't wear masks because of medical conditions. No one cares about medical conditions because you're old now, you see. The old folk are supposed to die now. That's Canada. This is a country where we euthanize folk now, to give you the option. So all the techniques are being used that you'd use in a war scenario. The same techniques that were put out against people who would not go into world wars like World War I. Make them appear like they're cowards and get everyone to turn their backs on them and put a white feather in your cap if you knew them. Same techniques. It's quite easy to get the people to turn to a mob against whoever the government wants to make a turn against. Quite simple, isn't it? In this case, your governments are becoming the biggest terrorists on the planet, at least in your own country, when they're promoting this and using techniques to terrorise the public, getting the public to turn against other members of the public. As I say, you'll vote for them again, won't you? But at least if nothing else, that one in Burnaby, BC, the RCMP are supposed to at least have all the footage, or some footage anyway, from cameras in it, including the person who took the film of it in their camera and posted it up on YouTube at BitChute. And at least they can't completely squash it, because if those guys get off doing what they did there, and the store, this guy has got a fantastic lawsuit waiting, I'm sure of it, if he just goes ahead and does it, if he can keep his cool. Absolutely. When you can get lawfully strangled almost to death because you don't have a mask on your face, is that the highest crime there is now, that warrants a death penalty by the person doing the strangulation? Something's wrong here, and it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse, folks. You're seeing terrible things happening, but these are the techniques I say that they've used against dissenters and conscientious objectors against their previous world wars. When you go off to fight for your country, and as Winston Churchill said, for your culture and your way of life and defend your freedoms, only once you supposedly win the war, you end up bankrupt, generations paying off the debt forever, and you open the floodgates to people who have nothing to do with your culture, deliberately to do it. You're lied at every step of the way with the characters who run the world. This is the same club that created the British Empire and took over the US as well, passed on the baton, as they said at the time. And the true money wizards, the wizards of money, the ones who really control it at the top, are the ones who put forth the Bill Gates and the Zuckerbergs and the rest of them, who you thought, well, he's just giving you a platform to chat. Well, no, now you've got the platform to censor and to retrain you in what you can and can't say. That's what it was to be from the beginning, before you even got it unrolled for you to use. Years ago, the United Nations said we shall train the public to self-police their speech, their thoughts, everything. I'm talking like 30, 40 years ago. How do you think we're going to do that? Remember, folks, cunningthroughthematrix.com, send a few bucks my way and to help me take a lump, because nothing's backing me, believe you me, except the people. Nothing at all. I don't belong to any organisations. I'm not a front. And they do give you your mouthpieces. They've almost given your main mouthpieces and your leaders the techniques I've talked brought about for psychological warfare operations across the world. Sometimes take 20 years, sometimes 25 to 30 years of putting in their own front people as newspaper people and then putting bloggers out in this day and age in other countries before they overthrow the nations and involved and so on. This is from their own writing at the military level. Now they're using them all on you. And you've got a plethora of all kinds of bloggers suddenly coming out there, all getting supposedly top ratings. And you can't really believe that. But the rating system is all nonsense anyway. It's a joke. They create ratings. It's all fictitious. It has been for years. Just like polls, folk go along with the bigger numbers. Well, if 90% when you vote for so-and-so, I think they'll vote for them too. It's the same thing with the rating game. Same characters behind it. Yeah, the bigger number. Oh, it must be really good if they get that. So who's kidding, you know? Think for yourselves. It's a hard thing, thinking for yourselves. When you're overloaded with data, again, cut a lot of the data out and start thinking. So cuttingthroughthematrix.com, as I say, and by the way, I've got some books and so on posted off there because we're out of temporary lockdown. It's a permanent lockdown with little interludes in between it. It's to go on for at least 7 more years, at least. And they'll play that out too, depending if they've achieved most of their change of society objectives, you see. Because what has to come out at the end of it is nothing like you ever had before. Fauci said this last year in the spring. Everything that was to happen, he said it. Oh, it's never going to go back to normal, he said. What part of that didn't you believe? It wasn't because it had anything to do with medicine. It's because he's in on the script. He's got CIA clearance. You can't work with the biowarfare labs in the States, including the military ones, without being in the CIA. And don't forget, he's an overseer on the board with the military one. The real deep state that runs America, the organizations, a parallel government that's bigger than the government. There's also parallel government over parts of the world.